The sound of laughter cut through the dusty air like a blade, except it wasn't the kind of laughter that warmed hearts. It was sharp, cruel, and directed at a small girl standing alone by the schoolyard fence. 12-year-old Lily pressed her worn backpack against her chest, fighting back tears as 3 older kids surrounded her. "Your clothes look like they came from a garbage can," one sneered. "Guess farm kids don't know what real shoes look like," another jeered, kicking at her mud-stained boots. Lily kept her eyes down, her heart pounding. She wanted to be invisible, but their voices kept slicing deeper. She didn't know that across town, her mother Sarah was silently setting down a bale of hay on their struggling farm, her instincts telling her something wasn't right. Sarah had been a U.S. Army sniper before life forced her to trade the battlefield for a small patch of land and a little girl to raise on her own. But no matter how much she wanted peace, the steel inside her had never disappeared. Life on the farm had always been hard, but Sarah carried it with quiet strength. Widowed young and left to raise Lily, she poured every ounce of herself into the farm and into being both mother and father. She worked before dawn, her calloused hands tending to animals and crops, and late into the night, making sure Lily never felt the emptiness of what they'd lost. Yet despite her sacrifices, she couldn't shield Lily from the cruelty of the world beyond their land. For weeks, the bullying had escalated, snide comments about being poor, about not having a father, about smelling like the farm. Lily tried to hide it, too afraid of making her mother worry. But bruises on her spirit were harder to hide than the ones on her arms. One Friday afternoon, everything boiled over. As the buses lined up outside the school, the bullies cornered Lily again. They shoved her against the fence, mocking her for not having anyone to stand up for her. "No dad, no friends, no one who cares," one boy hissed. The words cut deeper than any shove. But what none of them knew was that Sarah had arrived early to pick her daughter up that day. She'd seen the scene unfold, every cruel gesture magnified in her mind like a sniper's scope zeroing in on a target. Her blood ran hot, but her face stayed calm. Sarah didn't raise her voice. She didn't storm forward. She walked with the controlled, deliberate pace of a woman who had once stared danger in the eye and never blinked. "Is there a problem here?" Her voice was low, steady, the kind of tone that made even grown soldiers freeze. The bullies turned, suddenly aware of the tall, sharp-eyed woman approaching. They tried to laugh it off. "We were just joking, ma'am." But Sarah's eyes, cold and piercing, told them she wasn't buying it. She stepped between them and her daughter, standing like an unmovable wall. "You don't joke by tearing someone down," she said. "And you don't lay hands on my child. Ever." Something about the way she stood, shoulders squared, gaze locked like a marksman lining up a shot, made them stumble back. They didn't know who she was, but they felt the weight of her presence. Sarah didn't need to tell them she had once been a sniper whose hands were steady enough to take life from a mile away. Her silence, her stance, it said everything. That night, as the sun sank behind the fields, Sarah found Lily sitting quietly in the barn, petting the family's old dog. The little girl's eyes were red, her voice trembling. "Why don't they like me, Mom? Why did they hate me just for being me?" Sarah knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "They don't hate you, sweetheart. They're afraid of what they don't understand. You're strong, you're kind, and you come from a family that works harder in one day than most people do in a year. Never let anyone tell you that makes you less. That makes you more." Tears welled in Lily's eyes as she whispered, "But it hurts." Sarah pulled her close, holding her tightly. "I know. And you don't have to fight this alone anymore. I'll teach you the same thing the army taught me, how to stay steady when the world tries to shake you, how to aim true, and how to never let anyone else define your worth." Over the weeks that followed, Sarah began training Lily, not with rifles, but with resilience. She showed her how to shoot cans off the fence with a pellet gun, not because she wanted Lily to fight bullies with weapons, but because every shot built confidence. She taught her breathing techniques she'd used as a sniper, lessons in patience and focus. She reminded her every day, strength isn't about hurting others, it's about never letting them break you. At school, Lily began to change. She walked taller, her eyes no longer searching for escape but steady, calm, unshaken. When the bullies tried again, their words slid off her like rain on steel. She didn't flinch, didn't cower, and that confidence unnerved them more than any threat ever could.